Hey, Rolling 20 fans, this is G, and I'm here to tell you today about a new sponsor for our show, Casey's Irish Pub. This is an honest-to-God, Boston or Chicago-style Irish pub located in downtown Los Angeles. They serve cooked food, 11 kinds of beer, and 49 different Irish whiskeys from 3 different distilleries. What does that mean? That means if you're looking for a good drink during a Los Angeles convention, you don't have to go far. If you're headed to Los Angeles for E3, Kamikaze, Anime Expo, the Los Angeles Car Show, or one of the hundreds of events happening near the Staples Center, then a good meal and a glass of Guinness is just a short walk away. Jeremy, the loud guy who won't shut up when we do our own podcast, he actually ate there during the last Anime Expo, and he said this. Forgive me if I don't sound like the guy. I went to Casey's Pub looking for a place to bring people for a good night of food and found it when I was driving people on my way back to the Los Angeles Convention Center. We went back and I had the best steak pot pie in my life down there. My wife had a good whiskey to sip, and 8 of us had fun talking and eating in a place that looked like it belonged in a movie. Casey's just a couple of blocks from the Westin Bonaventure. That means it's close to one of Anime Expo's own shuttle stops. We're even hosting a photo shoot there during the 2014 Anime Expo. If you want more details on that, email us at mspfreight@yahoo.com. Hey, so do yourself a favor. And don't stock up on bad beer and try to mix something sitting at the desk of your hotel room. Ride the elevator, get off at the Bonaventure, and walk to Casey's Irish Pub to get some drinks by their bartenders. Make some new memories and have some fun. We want to see you there.
Hello everybody, this is Anthony Beyond my Mission Star podcast. It is about 12:08 a.m. on a Friday morning, and we are podcasting about Sac Anime because that's a convention that happened. With me tonight is Kris Sturm.
Howdy, and you can only say that it's a thing that happened, really, nothing else.
Okay.
Right, you had your head up your keister about ALA.
Right, of course. So, for those who don't know, because there was no Conover episode last week, is because me and a few others were at ALA, and this podcast that we're recording right now is the week after. So, bear with me as I sound a little tired from what I've experienced. But anyways, we're here to talk about Sac Anime, and boy, did I have so many questions, Kris. So many. Okay, but first I have to ask, how was your time there? Like, what was different this time around than last time?
Honestly, I'd have to say that it felt like you were just getting out of hibernation. Like, everything was still slow and groggy, and I made the terrible decision of not going to panels and gatherings, but instead roaming the floors to get photographs. Bad move on my end.
Okay. On that front, how was the atmosphere? What was the general feeling among people there?
Well, it wasn't strangling, I will say that much. Attendance was pretty high this time around, and according to the numbers that I got from David Wadley, the staff director for Sac Anime, honestly, this is the largest that Sac Anime has been over the past few years. One thing that I should take into account is that in the vendors hall, they cut out probably about a dozen different booth vendors and almost a dozen different artist alley vendors as well. So when they said, get your spots as soon as possible, they were talking about with reduced capacity, so that way each person had more space.
I see. So the space is still the same, but they were cutting down on the amount of space that they were giving out this time around?
Something like that. I mean, they were giving out the same, like, the amount of space taken up was the same, but each vendor had more space to themselves.
I see. Interesting.
So, there is that, and on that note, because I'm probably going to forget about it otherwise, as I was talking with David, he made mention that in the upcoming Sac Anime, they are going to be expanding, so that way the vendors hall is going to be about 1.5 times as large as it was.
Jesus, man, this vendors hall is going to take up the entire convention eventually.
It's a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, it's not a bad thing, actually. They got the space to do it, too. Yeah. Because, sorry, go on.
I was going to mention that the way they're talking about getting it set up was that that the vendors hall would be its own category, and the artist alley would quite possibly be its own.
Interesting. I'm curious to see what they do in terms of where they're going to put the artist alley, because as far as I know, the vendors hall can take up a lot of space because panel rooms don't take up a lot of space to. I mean, they're big rooms on its own, but it doesn't take a lot of space to do a panel. So with the arcade and whatnot, so I guess they can do they can have that sort of space for the con. So that's interesting. So out of curiosity, I know you say you didn't go to any panels during the weekend, but in terms of where the panels were, I remember last time that they were held in a different building. Was it the same case again this time around?
For the most part, there were panels that were held at the Sheridan Grand, but there were also different panels and other events that were going to be that were held in the upper rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much like the same location where if some of you went to the fashion show last time around, it was in the same location. So for the most part, everything was the same.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. In terms of cosplays you saw at Sac Anime, was there any particular one that stood out to you?
Well, I noticed a couple of Conquele cosplayers, including this one guy. He was dressed as Shimazaki, and for those of you who don't know, she's the one that has like the hip-high G-string that's hanging out of her sailor outfit and has the ribbon tied in her hair to look like bunny ears.
Mm-hmm.
And like I didn't even notice until afterwards, until he had like an even bassier voice than me. And like, oh man, I'm just genuinely impressed with your outfit. I need to get a picture of you.
Yeah, I think I might have saw that. That guy is pretty awesome.
He looked familiar. I just couldn't place from where. But aside from that, there were a few friends of mine who were cosplaying. Like my friend Garrus, for example. He was dressed as... he was dressed as Anders from Dragon Age.
Oh, sweet. Awesome.
And there was a whole Dragon Age gathering, and I completely missed it, and I just kicked myself for it, because it was a really great shot, and they had a whole bunch of different characters from all of the Dragon Age games.
Interesting. That's cool. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, Dragon Age is a pretty good game, and you don't see as many Dragon Age cosplayers nowadays as it used to. Just because making armor is kind of hard.
I mean, there are some guides out there that make it easier, but still, it doesn't really change it.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. But that's cool. As far as far as I'm pretty sure the businesses around the convention was doing pretty well. I'm gonna assume that Subway and everywhere else was pretty occupied. Was there any particular restaurant that you went to that was your go-to place for food?
Dick Pizza.
Ah,
You know what I'm talking about when I say
wait, say again?
Okay, so there's this place called Upper Crust Pizza, and
Uh,
they're and I've posted this before, and you can check it in the Sac Anime Gallery from the last one where I made the big photo hub for it. But Upper Crust Pizza, their logo is the U, but they gave the U a mustache and the chef's hat, and it looks like a cock and balls. And they make some of the goddamn pizza that I've ever had. So you know what? No, $8 all you can eat. Pizza parade over at Dick Pizza.
wow. So was that formerly known as the Dick Pizza place by anyone, or was it just because it looked like it?
No, it's a colloquially given name for it. I mean, it's known as Upper Crust, and everyone refers to it as Upper Crust. But when I talk about it to my friends or whatever, I just say, "Oh yeah, let's go to Dick Pizza."
Nice. Oh man, I'm just out of curiosity. Have you ever had Blondie's Pizza?
No, I haven't.
Okay. What was it? I remember one time, kind of going off topic, but I went to Berkeley, and I went to Blondie's, and the pizza was freaking huge. And it was a big, big pizza. Yeah, and it was pretty delicious. But it's so random. But getting back on topic, in terms of Sac Anime, how were the lines? I'm just curious. Was the lines managed? Like, was there any issue with those?
Honestly, I didn't even bother taking photos of the registration lines or anything like that because it was just all very contained. I will, however, and this is a very scathing, well, not scathing, but a very negative view that I have of how they handled the event. You needed a badge to go up the stairs and up the escalator in the convention hall.
Yes. And I've heard many other people complain about the same thing. And here's the reason why they were so strict about it. They were trying to eliminate ghosting from Sac Anime. And the thing though about ghosting, and for people who don't know what ghosting is pretty much going to an anime convention, or any convention for that matter, without a badge, and just kind of roaming around the convention or outside the convention and still trying to find fun. So they were trying to eliminate that at Sac Anime. How bad, I'm not gonna say how bad was it, but like, did you hear similar complaints from anybody else there at the con about it?
I heard someone who got up the escalator, they snuck past the security guard who didn't have their badge. They also had one at the top of the escalators because apparently you need to also show your badge to get off. And because they didn't have a badge, they had to be escorted out of the building.
Wow.
So, and here's the thing, even if someone is ghosting at a convention, they are not negatively impacting the event by any means. The people who pay for the event are, they are paying to go into the vendor's hall, to, go to events that are hosted by it. And for those that can't afford it, they should not be denied the right to hang out with their friends who are also there. And the thing is that staff had prevented people from going to cosplay gatherings if they were dressed up but didn't have a badge. And basically, they flat out said, even if you're in costume, if you're a passerby or whatever, you're not allowed to enjoy or be a part of anything that is here. And frankly, I'm highly disappointed in that.
Yeah, I've heard many other complaints from my friends as well, and other people as well, in terms of that. Here's the thing about ghosting, especially with Sac Anime. For a population of its size, and we said around like 12 plus K attended this convention, you can only do so much in terms of containing ghosting. And it's very hard to really, pick out like which ones have badges and which is not. There are some methods of going about it. For example, my time at ALA, because the building, the hotel is small, there was only certain choke points that people were coming in and out of, and they made sure like you had your badge, and if you didn't, then you can go back get your badge, or you're not going in this area. But when it comes to big convention, I don't want to say big, but mid-major to big conventions, the size of the population, you can only do so much. You can only handle so much unless you get like an army of like con staff people to make sure nobody's ghosting. But there's going to be people regardless ghosting, no matter what.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I don't know if this was brought up at any point, but one solution that was discussed, if it wasn't in the staff room, I can't remember where. I mean, the whole exchange was a little hazy, but we discussed the possibility of implementing, just a roaming badge or something like that, where, say, it was like $10, but all you could do was just go on the outside. You'd still be able to go to your gatherings, whatever. And, at least that way, you'd only have to plant people, like, by the doors of the convention center and at the stairwell to the back.
True.
And,
Well,
I mean, that...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and that would, help cut down on that concern a little bit. And then, of course, branch out to say, like, and especially since they're splitting Artist Alley and Vendors Hall into different rooms, having one just for each one. And then, of course, if you were doing a whole weekend thing, then everything's all encompassed.
Just to play devil's advocate.
I mean, like I said, it was just...
I know. I'm just saying, like, for your idea, just to play devil's advocate about it, that was like, even if you were to put these these price ranges for people to just roam around, you're still going to get people who are not going to pay for anything either way, and still going to try and ghost a con. So, well, the idea is great, and I think that the idea may be implemented. By the way, you're welcome, Sac Anime, if you're listening to this. You're still gonna have people ghosting the con no matter what. It's just a thing that happens at every convention. It's nothing new. It's just a thing. I mean, you can try to cut down on it, but it's gonna happen one way or another. But we'll see. I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
I mean, personally, I'm a fan of ghosting. I mean, I don't see anything inherently wrong with it. So.
Agreed. Especially if you say want to hang out with friends in front of a venue and chill, take pictures and whatnot. So yeah, there's that. I was gonna say. So I'm just curious, like out of both buildings, which was the most more populated? Was it the Sheraton Hotel or was it the Convention Center?
Convention Center by far. The Sheraton, it was pretty much only a hub for people to do registration and then just go.
I see. So there was no...
There's no reason to stay there unless you were going to the gaming halls. Well, not really halls, but rooms. And there were 2 of them. So, I mean, unless you were exclusively drawn to those, then there really wasn't much purpose to be there. Trading card game halls... And I keep saying halls. Were playing card games and stuff like that. They were held in the 2nd or 3rd floor, however you want to call it, of the convention center. Same old. So, I mean, like I said, layout didn't change any when it came to the convention, but I don't know. I just don't think that the way that it was handled was bad, just that the bad points that they did have this time around were just glaringly obvious.
I see. So what I've I'm trying to how should I word this? So I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, but like usually Sac Anime, they have their convention staff and then they hire like a third party kind of security force. Um, was there any issues with the con staff or the third party security that was there?
I mean, aside from the whole elevator escalator thing, which I mean that's sort of bullshit in its own way.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from that, I didn't really hear a whole lot. The way that it was set up was, I mean, same people were there. They finally got a way to just openly clear out that main hall in front of the vendors hall, which was a really nice way that they were able to get that set up. They were able to just make sure that it was an open area, so that way there were, room for people to breathe and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
When I mentioned the vendors hall was like there were less vendors there and stuff like that, they also widened the hallways between each of the booth segments. So just because there were less booths to worry about, and as a result, security was able to get up and down the hall in a much quicker, timelier fashion. And I can't remember, but I think I saw someone being escorted out, presumably for trying to shoplift.
Funny.
I'm presuming as such, just because I saw someone being walked out with 2 security officers. So, I mean, again, I'm playing on an assumption they could have also been harassing someone. They could have, I don't know.
Right,
I don't
definitely.
So I'm just leading with the assumption that they were caught shoplifting.
Okay. Yeah, kids, don't shoplift. Don't become the infamous Sasuke cosplayer from Fanime years and years ago that was arrested for shoplifting. So this is about.
I remember that incident. Holy crap!
Yeah, that picture is infamous. If you guys don't know what it is, look it up. Oh man, it was hilarious. So here's what I've heard from people in terms of Sac Anime. For people who are new or pretty young, in terms of the first, second year, I'll even extend to third year, going to Sac Anime, they had a lot of fun. People who have been there for a while, the veterans, did not like Sac Anime at all. They felt like this was the worst con they've been to in a long time out of the Sac Animes they've been there. So I did a little research and I kind of asked people around, like, what's your opinion? Like, how did you enjoy the con? And it's been generally been mixed. It's been generally like people loved it, people hate it. I mean, like I said, like before I started this whole entire Conover podcast, is that experiences may differ. So it's interesting to hear, hearing both sides of the coin.
And the thing is that, like, on that same note, when it comes to my own experience, I am so painfully neutral on it that I can't actually decide whether or not it was great or if it was or if it was, bad.
Right. Because I was curious asking you about your experience there, because I've been hearing just kind of, black or white, hate it or love it. So I was curious as far as like what's your experience, and from the sounds of it, you sound like it was all right. It wasn't the best, or it wasn't the worst, type of deal.
Well, the thing is I think what would have made it a bad con for me is if I didn't get to see the guests that I did. And on that note, I felt that they completely overloaded the convention with guest appearances this time around.
I see. Interesting.
There are 6 full pages of people who are here.
Wow.
Who were there. In fact, if you wouldn't mind, I will say the names off of every single one of them.
Go for it.
Okay, so at page 1 we have Linda Ballantyne, Ashley Birch, Damian Clark, Peter Cullen, and mind you, Peter Cullen is the voice of 1985 Optimus Prime.
Yes.
And, by the way, no bonuses given out to, any members of staff working there or anyone who wanted to get an autograph from him or anything. Like, no, he charged $135. Compare that to Mark Shepard, fucking Crowley from Supernatural, and like Crowley is like he's now. Peter Cullen is, well, I mean, he's doing a lot of stuff now, so, I mean, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But he was best known for his presence, back then. And, I mean, just to see that Crowley only charged $40 compared to Optimus's $135 is just laughable to me.
Wait, so the voice actor of Optimus Prime, the original Optimus Prime, was charging $135 for
an autograph. Yeah.
Oof.
Compared to getting an autograph, and I can't remember, but I think Mark Shepard also did photos too. Like if you got an autograph from him. I mean, I could be wrong. I could, just not remember right.
That's kind of weird because that's just weird because like when it comes to anime conventions, like special guests like don't usually charge for autographs or anything of the sort. There are times they will charge, but the most often you'll see that happen is often at comic book conventions. This is an anime convention. Do you think these kids of 135? Well, take that back. They are bringing tons of money with them, but they're
also spoiled kids with rich parents. So
that's true. I'm just saying, your average anime con goer is not gonna spend $135 for an autograph unless he or she really loves Optimus Prime and the Transformers. So
yeah, it's like I'm not even done with that first page. There's just two more for the first one, which were John DiMaggio and Richard Epcar. And, then on page 2 we had Tony Fleecs, or Fleeces? I think it's Fleecs. I'm not sure. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that. Caitlin Glass, Barbara Goodson, Chris Gore, Katie Griffin, and Todd Habercorn. So, I mean, we're already up to 12. Page 3 had Yaya Han, and it was really great to, get to see her and chat with her in person and everything like that in the press interview. I am so glad that traffic held me up in the way that it did to basically get there right as she was about to walk in.
Okay. Cool.
So,
cool.
It was nice, and my friend Wesley, who helped me cover the events of Saturday, he had a chance to sit in and listen to the interview, so that was pretty great in its own right. But moving on, there was Kyle Hebert, Lauren Landa, Alan Lee, Toshio Maeda, and I want to give a pause on him because, for lack of a better word, he is the tentacle god.
Oh shit! Are you serious?
The creator of La Blue Girl was there. And
okay. I was about to say that they got the guy who invented hentai. Oh man.
Yeah.
Wait, seriously?
He's created the tentacle hentai genre.
Oh shit! Wait.
Our modern, tentacle hentai, that's all because of Toshio Maeda. And the thing is that before him, tentacle erotica was only brought up from some novelizations and woodblock carvings from, early Japanese history that dated back a couple hundred years prior.
Wait, he made it La Blue Girl? That was him?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
shit.
I got an autograph from him, and I got him to autograph my Zoneton poster, which
nice.
And I bring that up because Zone, Zone's work.
Oh yeah.
Usually includes tentacles and stuff, and
Yeah.
I think what I like Zone's art style and the fact that they're able to just be so accurate when it comes to doing parodies to the point where, this is 99.8%, the actual artwork, and that's all done from hand. So I also got a print for Zone and asked if Zone would autograph my poster, so I'm sending those out tomorrow.
Oh shit, that's awesome.
And needless to say, Zone sounded pretty happy when I said, like, oh yeah, by the way, the Tentacle God decided to not only get an autograph for you, but drew the Zone Sama skull.
Oh, that's so cool. Wow.
I had to show him what it was because, like, I have no idea who Zone is, but
Of course, yeah, nobody knows who Zone is. Oh man, but that's
you
cool.
only know Zone if you're looking in that part of the internet.
Yeah, that's true. That's cool. Wow, holy shit, dude, you just met a legend. Seriously.
Yeah, I
Like,
know. That's why I am totally okay with the fact that. Well, I mean, it was only a small $3 print because after that it jumped up to $10 for a decently sized one, and nothing that I could ever frame and hang up.
shit. I'll say like I was about to say I'll frame that shit, but like I don't know. Not thinking about it. Like
Okay, let's put it this way: the guy had like sketchboards, or not sketchboards, but you know, like where they do you know, like in the old Disney style where, you know, you actually drew out each of the panels that you were going to animate and everything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there were a whole bunch of them like that, and there were some that were actually from La Blue Girl, and they were $80 a pop, and I'm like, if I had the money and zero decency and didn't mind, if, you know, like, oh yeah, that is some triple X rated, you know, stuff going on, and I have it framed, you know, like.
That's that is like both hilariously awesome and hilariously just wow.
I picked something that's relatively safe for work, and I just got a little card signed.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to Zone Time if you're listening.
Zone Sama.
But yeah, continue with your list of special guests. 'Cause right now we're at 17, I think it was.
Yeah. So number 18 and completing page 3 was Kerrigan Mayhem. He was Goldar in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Oh wow.
Private Sean Phillips in Robotech, amongst a whole bunch of other ones. Page 4 has Charles Martinet, Adam May, Erica Mendez, Matt Mercer, Amanda Celine Miller, and Cassandra Lee Morris. And for most of that page is Borderlands. And, of course, actually, no, it's just Adam and, yeah, no, it's just Adam. Never mind, I'm mixing them up.
So, we're looking about how many? Like 20?
So we're at 24 right now.
24?
Page 5 includes Trina Nishimura, Brina Palencia, Bryce Pappenbrook, Toby Proctor, Susan Roman, and Ellen Stern, bringing us 30.
Jesus.
Page 6 is David Vincent, Leslie Wilkerson, Mamoru Yokota, Paprika Amari, Okita Semi, and Revolution Boy, which brings the total count to 36 guests, and there were actually a couple other ones that were unlisted, and unfortunately I forgot their names.
Jesus.
And then, of course, you know, for the raves and stuff like that, DJ Helsing and DJ Jinrei were there, as well as Revolution Boy. And, yeah, and I think there were, like, a couple other booths set up that were just, like, other guests that decided to pop in.
Okay.
So,
I think I'm starting to see where Sac Anime is headed.
Yeah, now, so, like I said, I had my moments with Toshio Maeda, which was really great, and I'm really glad that I was able to talk without being starstruck, because I know what the actual gravity of his work is, and that in itself, even though I am not a purveyor of it, doesn't change the fact that it's just staggering of, you know, what he was able to do to help combat the Yakuza's, what do you call it, the anti-indecency measures that they had.
Definitely.
I mean, the
Wow.
whole like censorship in Japan, and it's weird to think that it started out as an edict or something that was in place by the Yakuza in order to regulate pornography.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I mean, I actually know the gravity of what his work does. So there's him, and of course Yaya Han, because actually getting to see her in person compared to online is very interesting in its own right, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a completely different experience. The guests that I did end up getting to meet, I had an interview with Trina Nishimura, and as I mentioned to you in a comment, I didn't have my recorder tool going because she made a comment about no cameras, and I misinterpreted that. But Stephen Chu of Neko Shiratori, he actually was gracious enough to keep his recording still going. So he has his segment, and I guess he separated mine from my recorded portion.
Cool.
And that was, God, that was probably like 10, maybe 15 minutes of her and I just talking because no one else had questions.
Okay.
And for the record, she was she's Misaka from AOT. She was in a hell of a lot of stuff. And then of course with Kyle Hebert, he was the voice of Gohan in Dragon Ball Z.
Yes, the legendary. You know, it's funny. So he always makes this a point because so many people mispronounce his last name. And like, I remember one year, I think it was Anime Expo, where he just like during the masquerade or during some panel or event, he's like, he made sure it's like to pronounce his last name correctly, and he had visual aid with him too. I think it was Kyle. It was a Kyle Herbert or something along those lines. It's just hilarious. But go on.
Okay, well, since apparently I butchered his last name,
No, that's fine. I don't want to put you in the spot or call you out, but
I was also the voice of Ryu from Street Fighter.
yes.
I also had a chance to chat with Matt Mercer for a little while, and he was Levi from Attack on Titan. And he also did a whole bunch of other voices, and I wish I had more of an opportunity to actually sit down with them. Chatting with Adam May, he is the creative designer for the characters in Borderlands. And I had a chance to meet up with him on Friday, and and he said, you know what, you're a nice guy, and I'd like to get to chat with you more. And pretty much said, if you want to do an interview or something like that, I'd be more than happy to. And I was like, cool, that's great. I can go ahead and set it up on Saturday. But Saturday I was sort of touring and introducing the convention scene a little bit more to my friend, and I met up with other people, and that whole day got buggered. And then Sunday came around, and I ended up being late. I hit just about every red light. I almost got into a car accident. And I said, you know what? Nah, today's just my day to relax. And by the time I actually had the chance to really sit down and get everything done, Adam's spot was already done and over with, so I couldn't have had the chance to meet up with him, and I'm so mad at myself. But I have kind of considered trying to reach out to him and see, like, hey, I met you at Sac Anime. I didn't have a chance to do that follow-up interview, and I don't know how well that would work out, though.
I think it'd be cool about it. If anything, hey, if you're listening, or or this comes to you in some sort of fashion, we would love to have you on our show and talk about whatever you want. But things happen, and we have very busy schedules at conventions. I will say, so just the sheer amount of just guests in this Sac Anime event.
Yeah, I mean, that's 36.
36 special guests. Okay.
Minimum.
Just so people who don't know. Some of these guests don't come for free. They they are often paid to come to make an appearance at a convention for, to hang out with other voice actors, but also sign autographs and taking their time away from whatever they're doing to come to a convention. 36 of them. Now, they charge a good amount, or depending who you ask, as far as like how each voice actor or how each special guest may charge. I'm not saying that all of them charge a certain amount. I'm just saying some of them probably did.
And I think that's likely in likely in part due to Sac Anime possibly not paying them as much as they wanted. So as a result, they figure, oh, okay, I mean, we'll still go to the gig, but then we're going to have fans pay, X amount for, these autographs or to do extra stuff.
Oh, I see.
So, I mean, that's a rationalization that I'm making in my mind, figuring, oh, okay, so if, God damn it, I don't remember his name, but he was the voice of Altair from Assassin's Creed.
Oh, Ezio. I mean, not Ezio, but fuck. I know who you're talking about. Man, I met him too.
Doesn't dawn on it. Like, that feeling.
Yeah.
And it's just that he gave one free autograph, just one, and then for every autograph you wanted afterwards, it was $20. And, I mean, I had a chance to look through his IMDb, and, I mean, it is rather impressive in its own right. So, I mean, don't get me wrong there. I have nothing against him for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that I figure, okay, so, I will just go ahead and, bug you each, day and go to 3 autograph sessions from you to get the things I want. That's not a big deal to me because, that's normally what I do. I go to autograph sessions, and that's normally how I blow through my entire day.
Right.
And what was really weird is that I was actually able to blow through all my autographs by day 1, so I knew something had to be up. Because, normally I never do that unless, people are feeling particularly generous and saying, like, yeah, you know what, you have, 6 things, I'll go ahead and sign off your 6 things. And, in fact, that was actually the case of Richard Epcar. He actually signed off 4 things for me, even though it was, he would only do 2, and then every one after that was $20. It was Matt Mercer, that's who it was. So, actually, wait. No, it wasn't Matt Mercer. I forgot I talked with him.
To kind of give context to everybody at home listening, normally at any anime convention, or any convention for that matter, you see a range of around, 4, 5, maybe 6 or 7 special guests. This is a little much, if you say, like, don't get me wrong, if there's somebody you really want to go check out, and there's a panel for that person, then more power to you. But, given the context as far as, like, how many they're bringing, and the context of Sac Anime, for what it is, yeah, there seems to be something telling. My only question is,
well, I mean, if you like, I could break it up into the main categories for you, because that's really, how I saw it. Is like, oh, okay, so they got this particular fan calling, they got this particular fan calling, and they got this particular fan calling.
Right.
In which case, it was Attack on Titan. It was, and I mean, that's just from Matt Mercer, Trina Nishimura, I think maybe one other guest that did a voice for the show. There was the Sailor Moon cast where that would be Amanda Miller. She was Sailor Jupiter. Cassandra, she was... Wait. Oop, no, never mind. I'm looking in the wrong spot. But let's put it this way. They had 4 of the Sailor Scouts and Tuxedo Mask.
Yes, I saw a picture of that, or it might have been a video, but yeah, I heard about it.
So they had that whole grouping. They had the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers grouping, which that's great in its own right. But well, I mean, they had Goldar, and he even did the voice too, which is really, really awesome.
Nice.
And oh man, I can't remember her name, but she played the evil queen with the Madonna boob cones.
Oh, I know you're talking about. Yeah, I can't remember her name, but yeah, I know you're talking about.
Stuff. That was Barbara Goodson.
Oh, okay, cool, awesome.
And then, of course, as I mentioned before, there was the Borderlands group, and then there was, pretty much the video gaming group with, Peter Cullen for his role in Transformers. He did the voices in the games and was Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, and several others. And it's just like, okay, I get it if you're, wanting to do like 3, different animes. Like, that works. Sac Anime, it's primarily an anime convention, so, that works in its own rights. If you're looking at having a whole bunch of guests, maybe keep it to 24 tops.
Right.
And, have, hell, you could knock out, 4 or 5 different titles very easily, just having those clusters. And saying this is the primary focus because these are the important guests this time around, and like this is what's topical. Let's see, what's a good upcoming series that.
Well, to kind of spin off of your
Yeah,
thought.
no, I'm just at this point I'm sort of starting to snowball off of that topic.
No, that's cool. I think the main point of it all is that it makes you wonder why they have so many guests and how they can afford it all. Just kind of think about it and like draw your own conclusions from it. But at the same time, like it kind of makes you wonder like how did they have this money? It makes sense if they were charging, if they were there to charge, but also they're being also paid at the same time. So who knows? I'm just saying that's 36 isn't unheard of at any convention for that matter, unless you're like freaking Dragon Con, then it's a different story.
or Wizard World for that that matter, because they had about 42 guests, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, they also gave them their own booths and tables, and there were specific autograph sessions and photo ops and everything like that, and that was fully like segmented and structured out in a very, very specific and orderly manner that says that here is this guest, but they are also running a little avenue that is saying like, oh yeah, and these are products of my work.
Right, definitely.
Which is something that Sac Anime lacked, and because they didn't have that type of presence, it sort of feels like here you have this wonderful carrot on the stick, but at the same time there's no like major incentive.
Right.
Like, you have those as hooks, but then past that, like what real opportunity is there to really enjoy the event other than like, oh yeah, I can say that I got to see these people, and man, I'm still pissed I didn't get that interview with Adam May because he was one of the coolest dudes, and like that sort of experience is something that you want to have as a convention goer. Mm-hmm. It's just you detract from that, and then you go into saying, oh man, there are all these important people, I just can't decide on who I want to go to. Then it starts to become a little bit of an issue, and then when you finally get to the point that says there are so many people here that I now need to choose like who do I like more over these, that's when it starts to become too much and something that is not appreciated as a convention goer.
Agreed. I'll say just one last thing about this, and then we can move on. From what I'm seeing, and from my 10 plus years of used to going to Sac Anime for a while, it's looking like Sac Anime is becoming more or less similar to Comic-Con or WonderCon in terms of you have this big vendors hall, or potentially just the vendors hall by itself would be the floor, you have special guests, lots of them coming in, selling, you know, autographs or coming in on their own dime. They have panels, but majority of the way that I'm looking at, it's looking like they are, I don't say sucking the soul out of what Sac Anime is all about, but kind of conforming from a fan to more of a corporate type of deal. If you can follow me on that. So that's my final thoughts on what I've seen so far. But I
Yeah,
don't know.
I mean, those thoughts aren't ungrounded. So, I mean, more on you on that.
Mm-hmm. Um, Aside from that, were you able to check out any of the other rooms? You know, per se, the game room, the
Oh
karaoke
no, I had
room.
an opportunity to go to everything. So,
Oh, cool. Yeah. So tell
it's
me.
just it's just that I didn't go to panels or to the gatherings.
That's fine. It
Um,
happens.
but when it came to the panel rooms themselves, they were nice, spacious. They actually, well, I mean, all the chairs were like those type that you have to clip together off on the sides. So like it's very claustrophobic if you aren't, like 120 pounds,
Mm-hmm.
because those chairs aren't wide. And I mean, I know that there are some people who go there who, are in the, plus hundreds pound this range, and if they want to go to a panel, then they either risk, being called out for their body size and taking up two chairs, or, you know, I mean, and there's a certain level of embarrassment that comes along with that, and that's, not right. But I don't know if it's a good or bad thing that I didn't see anything like that, on the basis that, I mean, it's good that, nobody should have to, you know, or rather that, if that did go on, I didn't see it, because, I mean, I find that rather harmful. I mean,
Right.
hell,
Right.
I mean, you know me, I went from 202 and now I'm down to 161.
Yes,
So,
and good job for doing so. But I
yeah,
definitely agree.
but I mean, I have a particular sensitivity when it comes to limitations that are caused by people's, bodily form, and if there's a problem with that, then, that's rather what's the word I'm looking for? It's disappointing in its own right if there are people who are, you know, being put down because of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay.
But
Gotcha.
but on the other hand, if that didn't happen, if nothing like that, happens or anything like that, I still, feel like if they want it to be a more comfortable atmosphere, that they should go for the chairs, or I mean, like the type where you can actually, like, scooch it out a few inches apart from each other and stuff like that. So I mean, that would have been nice in the panel rooms. I unfortunately I also ended up missing the masquerade, but that's because I had a family gathering that I had to duck out of the convention by like 5:34. So
Here's the thing about masquerades, and I don't blame you for not missing it, or for missing it in other duties. I'll just say this right now, because, and this is something that you'll hear in the Rolling 20s podcast, which you guys should check out today. It's actually pretty awesome podcast we did. Um, Masquerades are straight up pretty crappy. Just saying. Like, don't get me wrong. I think the cosplays are awesome. The people who go in for competition, I think that there'll be some skits that are either moving or funny, or have put hard work to put together. But you gotta go through a lot of other skits and panels that are not panels, skits and other acts before you get to the good stuff. And I'm just telling it as it is. So if you want to send me hate mail, go ahead. But that's the truth.
oh, and
So
not
you're
only
not
that,
gonna miss much, Chris. So it's not nothing. Yeah.
I was gonna say, but not only that, but I actually wanted to do a little skit of my own where I figured, okay, if I was able to get my male version of Zonton cosplay done, I would sign up and sing Ken Ashcorp's song In the Zone.
Mm-hmm.
I was really hyped for it, even though I don't know if I'm probably a bad singer or whatever, but I went to take a look over there, and I was told from the website that if you want to do a skit, it has to be 2 minutes or less, and if you hang on for longer than that, then you're immediately disqualified.
Yeah.
That's a touchy subject in its own right, because on one hand, I figure, yeah, if you have a shitty act, then yeah, I wouldn't want to sit around for more than 2 minutes, but if you have a good act, and it goes on for longer, and I mean, it could be like a whole Pokemon thing, it could be, considering that there were some Attack on Titan guests, if they had, like orchestrated a fight scene or whatever, and they incorporated that would have been fantastic, but they would have to keep it within 2 minutes, and for some things you just can't.
No, you can't. I mean, here's the thing about it, and it's fine because I just said there's a lot of crap you gotta go through to get the good stuff. I will say though, masquerades are fun to, like, if you want to go and do a skit or something on a whim, and like just for fun, like nothing serious, anything. That's fine, whatever. I think that it's cutting down to 2 minutes for a skit. It's doable, but and I can understand because I would assume some people are entering in the masquerade that you got to keep it going on a time clock and not drag it out for so much. But yeah, I think 2 minutes is a little too short. So
yeah, considering that song in particular, that one is, if I remember right, 5 minutes 4 seconds.
Right.
So
Yeah, no, I hear ya. I just have a feeling like after this podcast is over, like Sac Anime is never gonna invite us back again.
No, I actually brought up a few of these concerns with David, and he thought that they were good points that I had brought up.
Okay.
And speaking of which, to sort of segue out of that topic as well, it's the issue of the swap meet. And
okay. So how was the swap meet?
I have to say that I probably walked off with about $360 to $365 worth of stuff, and I only spent $56.
That's fucking
So
really good.
you tell me, how do you think I did with that?
You are a man amongst men.
Let's put it this way: my biggest haul was there was this one guy who was selling Urusei Yatsura DVDs, and each one of those puppies goes for about 27 to $30 a pop before taxes. I got 9 of them for $27.
Jesus,
yeah.
man. Oh man.
So I mean, there's that, and this will be uploaded. I have videos, which I don't know if I'm going to end up having to make a separate tab for those or not when it comes to the gallery. But I have a before and after video of what the swap meet room was like. And I took pictures, and I thought, oh shit, I only have maybe like a minute left. And so I started recording, and I got what footage I could from one point of the circle that I can make to the other. And then people started filing in right as I was finished with it. And mind you, that this room is probably 900 square feet, probably. So it's a big room.
Okay.
And within 15 minutes, it was so filled up to the point where I had a hard time breathing, and it was choking.
Okay.
Like, the entire room was filled up with, like, some area in the center, which is where a few people were set to breathe. And they had, like, 40 water jugs, and they were all empty within a half hour.
Damn, that's crazy.
40 jugs, and they were completely full with ice water, like, at the beginning of the thing. And like, oh my god, what the shit?
That is crazy. But that's, wow, Jesus. Wow. But overall, you came up with a good lot of stuff, though, right?
Yeah, for the swap meet. But the huge issue that I had with it was the fact that they only had it limited to Friday. And I brought it up to David and said, look, there are people who, won't be able to find what they're looking for in the vendor's hall or whatever. And I've, been asking, and I did. One of the people in question that I want to bring attention to is one Demarius Isom, also known as on Facebook. He has a page called Starving Artists, and artist is apostrophe S. I can link you in the description. But the thing is that he's a fantastic artist, and he has lots of prints and a whole bunch of other stuff, and he even does these oil paintings, which are absolutely beautiful.
Wow.
The thing is that when I told him about the swap meets, because I met him on Saturday, and he said, holy shit, if I had known, I, would have, bought up a spot to, go and do that. And he's just one of several people that I ended up talking to about it, and I'd say probably about 20, maybe 25 people that I talked to, just overall around the convention. They said that they would have loved it if the swap meet had a second day, or if they had it running on day 0, because you figure, oh, okay, well, you can get some of your preliminary shopping done by buying off of other people, and then you don't have to worry about the other days, and it works out so much better for budgeting. And the thing is that they, correct me if I'm wrong, but over at the Radisson, they did used to run the swap meet for, was it Friday or Saturday, or was it Thursday, Friday?
They ran the swap meet for sure Friday, and I want to say they also ran it for Thursday as well. But to my knowledge, I believe it was only on Friday. So I don't think Sac Anime ever had a day where they had day 0 swap meet and then day 1 swap meet again. So to my knowledge, I mean, it's been a while, but I would agree that having swap meet on day 0 would help out.
Just because you figure, like, there are people who don't know if they want to go to the convention for the whole day, and, maybe you can sell them, like, I don't know, a $5 swap meet pass. Mm-hmm. Something super, it's a suggestion. I'm not saying that, you should go for it, but at the same time, it's a thought that has crossed a few minds in the past.
My only question about this is I wonder if Sac Anime, how much would it be for another day at the convention? Because like they're already paying a lot of money as it is for the special guests on top of other needs. I'm just curious as far as like the convention cost for another day. So maybe a case where they couldn't afford a day 0 to have that, or even if it's not at the convention center, maybe even hold it in the Sheraton next door. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is that the swap meet was in the Sheraton.
Oh, it was. Oh, okay, my mistake then.
Yeah, no, it was ground floor in Well, I think it was a special registration room, and then they cleared that stuff out, and part of me wants to say that they used it as a panel room. I can't remember, but it was right over by hotel registration. It was that side of the at the bottom of the stairwell.
I see. Interesting. Okay. So what were the other rooms you managed to check out?
Oh yeah, like I said, I had an opportunity to check out the game rooms. Really nothing noteworthy there. It was sort of just like, oh hey, just here to relax and play some video games. Mm-hmm. They didn't have any fees to play anything, which was great, but I also, and this could have just been timing on my end, but I didn't see anything about gaming tournaments either.
I see.
So, I mean, like I said, it could have just very well been my timing, because I popped in there like once at about 11 in the morning, another at about 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Sleep right around the end at 10 o'clock.
I see. Okay. I've heard from a little birdie that apparently the karaoke room, the guy who was running it was real. He wasn't very pleasant, to put it lightly, to people at times. I'm not sure if that was your experience, if you managed to check that out, but
I I can only say I overheard a couple people saying that the guy who was running it was a total prick.
mm-hmm.
I never had an well, I can't say I didn't have an opportunity. Of course, I had an opportunity. I just didn't go and check out the karaoke room. One part because I didn't know where it was, and it could have very well been in the swap meet room. In which case, well, I'm just a dingus. But there's that whole bit that is a concern, and two was that even if it was, I stand a good chance of meeting some less than favorable singing. So
Right. I mean, that of course, but okay. Because I was hearing a lot of negative stuff out of the karaoke room, and yeah, just kind of added on to what I've been hearing from other people as well, just Sac Anime as a whole. Um, Overall, your thoughts, Sac Anime. What was good? What was bad? What could they improve?
got a whole lot of bad to a few super really good things. So I mean, it stands out pretty even to me. One thing that I should bring up just by itself. Oh my god, the art that they used for the program books are so bad.
I heard that they were, man.
It looked okay. You remember those How to Draw Manga books from like 1999?
Yeah.
Yeah, those things that are absolute abortions of art.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's basically the style of art design that they had with like baby's first Photoshop session in the back where it shows. Wait a second. Oh, for a second, I was like, holy shit, is that the gateway background?
I mean, here's what I'll say.
Here's
what I'll say. Art is very, very subjective. And
But the How to Draw Manga books, that is the style that the cover is, and there is no way that you could possibly defend one of those because it does so much. It has such a negative impact on the actual stylization of manga.
yeah, that and just the inner graphic designer in me is like, not to dog on you, Sac Anime, but step your art up a little bit, please.
Yeah, no, I mean, believe me, I know that there is, I know that there can be unappealing looking art that happens to be good.
Yeah.
This is just bad. And I took a good. I've had quite a few art classes where, like, we actually analyzed art from a subjective basis and, said, okay, so these are, the things that we're looking out for. And, and it was a whole open realm for us to actually talk about it. It's just bad. Like, when you're dealing with art in Photoshop Sci, for example. I'm thinking Print Shop Sci, not Photoshop. When you're using Paint Tool Sci, God, that's like the third time I've just completely changed the name. Sci, or when you're in GIMP or any of those art programs, like you go and you're starting to color things and you work off of layers and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This cover, oh man, have you seen a picture of it?
Yeah. Yeah.
The fact that they intentionally made the jagged split and everything like that, like the left side of it actually doesn't look bad because with it being as blank as it is, like you can figure, okay, this is, a quick rough draft. The whole right side of it is just like you're going out of your way to make it look like this is not a fractured, but like it's a work in progress, but just no. It just doesn't work. It looks so forced.
Yes. So is that your bad? Is what?
No, there's a lot more than that.
Right.
their handling of ghosting, that was in the negative.
Mm-hmm.
There is the whole concern that actually I didn't have a concern with staff. I actually considered the way that they handle things, with exception to the whole ghosting issue,
Mm-hmm.
as a mention in the good, because it felt like they actually had their they had their stuff like in the right, like they knew what they were doing, they knew what to look for, like that was good.
Mm-hmm.
The food locale, the way that they treated people outside of the convention, that was great in its own right.
Mm-hmm.
The guests I got to see, because thankfully now if I was a fan of literally every single thing, I wouldn't have an opportunity to enjoy the convention for the convention. I would just be in autograph sessions all day, every day.
Right.
So, in my case, I did like Sailor Moon. And, if I had anything of them, I probably would have gone out of my way to get that stuff signed. But then, you factor, let's say I'm a fan of Kill la Kill, and I'm also a fan of Attack on Titan, and Borderlands, and, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and the list goes on and on and on. It gets to the point where, like, you've gone to all the autograph sessions, you have about a half hour left of the vendor's hall, and you've missed all of the cosplay gatherings.
Right.
And that sort of attitude is something that I don't feel is, conducive to having a good, enjoyable time at a convention. If you're able to, have 2 or 3 primary focuses and then a couple, off branches, and, have a guest list of maybe 20, with one of them being someone like Peter Cullen or Mark Shepard, that would do the whole infrastructure. I mean, it would make the entire feeling and infrastructure of the events seem so much better, and it would feel more well organized, and it would feel as though everything is together in a way that it wants its attendees to both experience the fun side of roaming around the convention and having things to do, and yet also having opportunities to meet famous people. That's a very, pretty much you can tip the scales with a feather in that instance for me.
Yep.
I don't mean to, shut you down, but I also have more. Spatial concerns. When it comes to that, I think that they're handling it well, but at the same time, they need to be more considering of what fan reactions are going to be like. So if you have fewer guests, it's possible that you could, and I'm not saying that they would, but that there is a room to either, fully compensate the guests that they are looking at having for the next convention, which, I mean, there's really not a whole lot being done for SummerCon, but, it's room for WinterCon.
Mm-hmm.
They can, weigh that budgetary, issue by itself by weighing, how many guests do we want to have compared to how much are we willing to pay them. So, and here I am just talking about guests. I need to switch gears because there's other things to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, that's one concern that I have. As I mentioned before, the swap meet, if they have it set up for a second day, preferably day 0, then it could significantly make the overall experience better, because there were people who wanted to sell stuff and they weren't given wall space. And then there are other people that didn't even know about the swap meet, and had they known, they would have put more attention into being there for that, which in turn, helps the convention out as a whole. And, as I mentioned before, with Starve, or Demarius, however you would prefer to call him, but, there are people who figure that they could, plug the convention more by saying, hey, I'm going to be here and I'm going to be selling stuff in the swap meet, and yada, yada, yada. But I think that if they branch out and, separates the vendors hall and the artist alley, like there's been talk of, it could work out for the better because it gives so much more room for each particular vendor to do their own thing. And I don't know, I think that it could be really helpful in its own right. And then, of course, having more attention put into the swap meet, aside from the fact that thankfully they actually started it on time, which was beautiful. But having more attention put into each room rather than, considering it as like, oh, this is just consumerism here, here, and here, and then just treating it all as one thing, that would definitely enhance the overall experience of the convention. When it comes to cosplay gatherings, like I said, I totally missed out on them, but to have people not allowed to look at the things that are there and anything like that really hampers the overall experience. So, I mean, take it as you will. I was entertained, but also disappointed.
Yes, indeed, as we both agreed about Sac Anime, and I didn't even go to Sac Anime, so thank you, Kris, for joining me tonight. This late night, I'm talking about Sac Anime and all the experiences you had.
No problem.
And before we go, you can send all your hate letters to. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I would love to have your hate letters, actually, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it would be nice to actually hear from people for once.
Yes, tell me how wrong I was. Tell me how wrong we both were about Sac Anime. Anyways, Kris, where can I find you on the internet?
Well, oh god, I made a Twitter. Fuck me.
Yes, join the dark side, Kris.
Thank you so much, Anthony. Because I know MSP has a Twitter, and I'm like, shitbags.
Twitter is awesome.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I can at least follow up on what people like Shadman, Zone,
yes.
Ego Raptor.
Yes. Follow me. Yes.
Like, just having that, it's like, that's... I mean, there's not exactly a downside to it, but...
the minute you follow me, I'm going to spam so much porn on my timeline.
Great. Really did hear that.
Anyways, but go on, sorry.
Off that point, my name, Christopher Sturm, that is also my freaking handle. I don't know how or why, but they said, hey, you know what, this is a username, why don't you have it? I'm like, alright, fine, I was just gonna go with, something like, Kazuya's or whatever, I'll go with my name.
Alright.
So, there's that. I have a Tumblr, Kaz Cosplay, where I used to, do a lot of reblogs about snakes until I found out one of my friends is a little on the phobic side of him, but I think snakes are fucking adorable, there's that. And, of course, I also have a Facebook page, Kaz Cosplay. And then, of course, you can find me on the Mission Start podcast page. You'll find me in these podcasts. I am going to be doing a new segment, which it's safe to actually talk about it, right, Anthony?
Oh, right, about that. Yeah, just go for it. You already made the Facebook page anyways, so, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're still having a bit of technical difficulties with it, and part of me is wondering, oh god, why do I have a show that has 3 people with ADD or ADHD?
It's only a good thing.
But, my friends and I, we've started up a little thing called Reset Gaming, or the Reset Game Show. We're actually considering changing the name because another page already freaking had it before us, but we made our first official recording last night. I need to hand off the file to one of my co-hosts, Blondie, but I will tell you for a fact, like, without even hearing it back, it is a train wreck. It is an absolute train wreck.
Yes,
but hopefully it will pick up. We're using an old diamond capture tool, and it's working out well for the Atari level games, like Space Invaders, Asteroid, Pac-Man, stuff like that. Like, that all captures, except that the old Pac-Man, it only shows 2 ghosts on my computer.
Interesting technology.
If you haven't seen the 2600 version, it's like the arcade version, except somehow shittier.
Oh, but I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna enjoy watching all of your stuff, Kris. So yeah, definitely.
But yeah, we're trying to get all that squared away. My friend Wesley here, he's a total computer whiz, and he's offered to try and help us get everything sorted out with our other capture tool. And if we get that working and up and running, he will be joining us for about 2 months on the show, or at least 2 months of recordings before he's gone in Japan for about a year. At which point, well, it'll probably be Skype involving him, but either way, there's quite a bit that I'm involved with, and quite a bit that's still being worked on. So bear in mind, everyone, all that will eventually be sorted out. And hopefully our show, Reset Gaming, will not be as much of a bombshell as Sonic Boom the game was.
Agreed, much agreed. Thank you, Kris. You can follow me on Twitter at DefectiveNaruto. You can follow the work that me and Kris do on the website at www.missionstartpodcast.com, where you can listen to this podcast and then various others. As you have seen, there is been lots of activity on our YouTube channel. I've been uploading all the video coverage from Anime LA, and soon to have more coverage in terms of Anime LA photos, photo shoots, as well as the reports, as well as the Conover as well for Anime LA, which would be happening soon-ish. So anyways, with that, have a good weekend, guys. Enjoy your 3-day weekend. Relax, have fun.